Warning, the following video contains spoilers, but just keep watching. Hello everybody, and welcome to the Derek Ruby Show. I am your host, the previously mentioned Mr. Ruby, and today for episode 11, we're going to be talking about Batman vs. Superman, The Dawn of Justice. This is a special request from my friend Ben. Before I get started, I would just like to say, what the fuck, DC? What were you thinking? This is Batman vs. fucking Superman. People should be saying Captain America Civil War is a good movie, but it's got nothing on Batman vs. Superman. But no, it's completely the opposite. They're saying this is a good movie, or it's an okay movie. It's Batman vs. Superman. It should be the greatest thing since sliced bread. Even a child, even a 14, 15-year-old, maybe even a 10-year-old child could come up with a better ending or a better reason for Batman and Superman to be fighting than this piece of garbage movie. And I'm going to tell you something right now. And that's what I think about that. Moving on. So Batman vs. Superman, The Dawn of Justice, the year 2016. So we start like most typical Batman movies start. We flash back to when Bruce Wayne's parents get killed. But to this movie's credit, it actually does it in a very unique way. You see the pearls falling off of his mother's neck, and it gives you a great visualization and a strong opening. Then we basically see the events of the end of Man of Steel as we see it all through Batman's perspective. Batman, of course, being played by Ben Affleck. I remember a lot of people didn't want Ben Affleck to play Batman, but I, of course, told a lot of people, let's just wait and see, because back in the day when Michael Keaton was going to play Batman, there was petitions to try to get him not to be the Batman, so I figure it's just best to wait and see, and I think that Ben Affleck is probably one of the best things about this movie. I mean, he pulls the part of Batman off very well as Bruce Wayne. And one of the unique things I like about this Batman is they actually give you a reason as to why his voice changes when it's Batman.
Funnel fairy butterbar, funnel fairy butterbar, funnel fairy. There's nothing wrong with the microphone. It's this new layer of armor.
And it's a much better reason than somebody sounding like they just smoked like 20,000 cigarettes.
You'll be in a padded cell forever.
Then we get to see a scene of Superman saving Lois Lane in the desert. Superman and Lois Lane in this movie have no on-screen chemistry. I mean, don't you remember all the times when you came home from work and you go in there into your bathroom and your girlfriend's sitting in the bathtub or your wife or whatever and you just go ahead and jump in the bathtub with all your clothes on? Yeah, I do it all the time. Now let's talk about Batman a little bit. Some people are upset because Batman was running around branding criminals in this movie. I didn't really have a problem with it. One thing I will say is that the whole premise of this movie is that Batman's trying to take Superman down because he's irresponsible and killing people. Yet Batman is killing people like on every turn. There's a car chase scene later on in the movie. Batman is following these henchmen. He's basically killing them left and right. And then Superman stops him and then they have a few words. But it's completely illogical. And I mean, that's kind of the problem with making Superman so dark is Batman's always got to be a little darker than Superman because he's Batman, so if you're going to make Superman dark, you got to make Batman darker. And I don't really have a problem with the dark tone because, I mean, back in the day, the original Batman killed criminals with no problem. But then I will go on to what I consider to be the most controversial character in the movie, and that's Lex Luthor. We all grew up watching Lex Luthor on various cartoons and reading various comics and things of that nature. And we're looking for a bald, smart, suave, debonair kind of Lex Luthor that knows what he's doing. And this guy here, he just comes off as Willy Wonka on crack.
It's cherry.
He constantly talks about his father, so some people say that he's Lex Luthor Jr. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but even if that was true, the real Lex Luthor would probably have kicked his ass and gotten rid of him because he's just fucking insane. I was in the theater and my buddy looks at me and says, "Is that the Joker?" And that should just tell you right there how the casting for that went. I mean, it's really not the actor's fault. Jesse Eisenberg, he's a good actor, but the writing that was put for this movie for the character is just shit. Then Lex Luthor has a party. Bruce Wayne shows up there, and this is one of the things I'll give the movie credit for. They really put some thought into the character of Bruce Wayne. Because in the comics and the cartoons, he's portrayed as being smart. He's portrayed as being Batman, not just pretending to be a goof the whole time. Ben Affleck really pulls it off really well, and we get to meet Wonder Woman for the first time. Gal Gadot and Batman have great on-screen chemistry together, much more than Superman and Lois Lane do in this movie, because in this movie pretty much Lois is just a plot device, and that's about it. And we get to see a little bit of Lex Luthor and kind of how he's playing everybody, and then he finds out that the senator is not going to allow him to build his weapon. So a hearing comes up for Superman that he shows up for, and Lex plants a guy with a bomb there, and it blows up the entire building and kills everybody in it. And some people wonder if Superman had anything to do with it. Batman and Superman have a confrontation in the movie early on, and Superman basically tells Batman that he's not to be Batman anymore, even though Batman was chasing criminals and Superman lets those criminals get away. So Batman steals Lex Luthor's kryptonite, and then basically Lex Luthor kidnaps Lois Lane. Superman shows up, and he tells him that he's going to go fight Batman. And Superman basically is like, why would I do that? And Lex Luthor reveals to him that he has kidnapped his mother, and if he doesn't do it, and he doesn't kill Batman by a certain time period, that she will die. Then we go ahead and we finally have the epic battle between Batman and Superman. It goes on for a little bit, and Batman basically kicks Superman's ass when it's all said and done. The downside to this is this movie is called Batman and Superman, but there might have been maybe 10 minutes, maybe 15 tops of Batman actually fighting Superman. When Batman's finally going to deliver the final blow, Superman keeps telling him to save Martha.
You're letting him kill Martha.
And because their parents have the same name, well, I guess magically that makes them friends. So Lex Luthor had created Doomsday, the monster that killed Superman in the comic books, with General Zod's body and General Zod's ship. And he basically tells the computer to do this with his DNA and Zod's DNA. And the computer says that it cannot do that because the Kryptonian Council has outlawed it. And Lex Luthor says, well, where's the council now? And the computer replies that they're dead. And so I guess it's okay. So the computer just goes ahead and does what he wants. Doomsday comes out, and it's up to Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman to take this thing on, in which at the end of the movie, Superman basically takes this Kryptonian spear that Batman had made, and he kills Doomsday and kills himself. Then we have the funeral, and it's very reminiscent of the Dark Knight Returns. You see a little bit of dirt move, so you know Superman's probably not really dead. And that's pretty much how the movie ends. So overall, the problem with this movie, it's not that it's a bad movie. It is kind of a good movie, but it's just so overbearing with all the stuff in it that it makes it hard to really like this movie. I'm sorry, I like Suicide Squad better. If you want to know what I think about Suicide Squad, see episode 2, shameless plug for myself, thank you very much. And see, that's the problem, DC, Warner Brothers, whoever. The thing about this movie is that Batman and Superman have been around since the 1930s. And decade after decade of people reading and watching all these different things that Batman and Superman are in, and they have been waiting and waiting for a confrontation between the two on the big screen. And this is what you gave us. And that's the crime here about this movie. And I know that there's an extended cut of the movie, but I'm sorry, we're going to just talk about the theatrical version because it's very sad that I have to go and spend an extra $25 just to get a Blu-ray special edition to get a better movie that I should have got the first time I saw it in the theater. So overall, I'm going to give Batman vs. Superman, The Dawn of Justice, 3 stars. You really need to get your head out of your ass, DC. I've said this before and I'll say it again. If you don't start shaping up with these movies, you're always going to play second fiddle to Marvel. So thank you, my friends, for listening to The Derek Ruby Show. You can follow me on Twitter at Derek Ruby Show, or you can check me out on the Facebook fan page, The Derek Ruby Show. What did you guys think about Batman vs. Superman? Leave your comments in the section below, and I'll see you guys next time.
In the great hall of the Justice